So this is the Izzet Turns deck that was made by Martin Izzet. This is available on channelfireball.com, where he has his own sideboard guide and everything. So it's pretty much your bog standard list that you've been seeing do well in the tournament so far. You have 4 copies of Alrund's Epiphany, which is the main thrust of the deck. Being able to take extra turns and create 1/1s can be just a good way to make sure that the opponent never untaps for the rest of the game. You can kill them. It's the most over-the-top thing that you can be doing, realistically, in Standard. And the only way to go over the top of that is to do it more. And we do that with 2 copies of Galvanic Iteration, which is a Izzet spell, 2 mana, with flashback that copies any instant or sorcery spell, the next one that you cast that turn. Pretty good utility spell. Obviously, the main combination is with this and Epiphany. So if you wait till the late game and cast Galvanic Iteration or 2, or Galvanic Iteration and flash it back and then Epiphany, then you're threatening 3 turn spells late in the game that are very difficult to all counter for the opponent. But it also has some other utility. There are other points in the game where you might want to Galvanic Iteration your Expressive Iteration. You might want to Galvanic Iteration something like Memory Deluge to find the answers that you need. So the core of the deck is pretty straightforward. Where Martin spent a lot of time was on his choices of card, right? So 4 copies of Burn Down the House, as opposed to 4 copies of Battle of Frost and Fire, which is ordinarily the card that you would see as the sweeper of choice in the deck, right? Because the 3rd chapter lends itself so nicely to Alrund's Epiphany turns, right? You can Battle of Frost and Fire, if you hit the 3rd chapter and cast Alrund's Epiphany, even if they counter it, you still get to draw your cards off of that chapter of the saga. Burn Down the House is a concession that Battle of Frost and Fire is not very good in this particular meta. The card is almost dead against other Izzet Turns decks, and the Mirror is supposed to be pretty popular. This is probably the 2nd most popular deck in the format after Mono Green. Other interesting card choices are Prismari Command. Prismari Command is normally a pretty bad card in this format. It's just bad rate. 3 mana to do 2 damage to a target or to kill an artifact is only really good in special circumstances. The problem is those circumstances have been coming up a lot. So you need an answer to Chariot, and this deck is not otherwise very good at doing that. Also, you're looking for ramp spells, and if a lot of your 2-drop slot is dedicated to 2 mana removal spells, then you're kind of looking for something that ramps you at other spots in the curve. And that's what Prismari Command does. On turn 3, you can make your treasure and be able to cast your Burn Down the House on turn 4, which is pretty important to be able to do against Mono Green. The other reason Burn Down the House is good instead of Battle of Frost and Fire is that whereas Battle of Frost and Fire would be dead in the control matchup, Burn Down the House can actually create the 3 hasty threats, the 3 demons. That can be tough for opponents to deal with if they cast, like, say, a Wren. Minus it, make a Tree Folk token, you attack with these 3 devils, Wren is guaranteed to die. Also, 2 copies of Fading Hope, which is otherwise not a great card as well, but also pretty good at dealing with Wren itself. Wren minuses makes a Tree Folk token, you bounce the Tree Folk token, and hopefully have enough of a board presence that you're also able to deal with Wren herself. The sideboard, we've got 2 copies of Disdainful Stroke as a nod to the Mirror. We've got 4 copies of Malevolent Hermit as a nod to the Mirror. This card is kind of mind-bending, I found, to play in the Mirror. Sometimes you want to kill it so that your opponent can't use the front side to be able to counter your spells. And sometimes you actively want it to stay on the board because allowing your opponent to cast the Benevolent Geist to prevent their spells from being countered is almost as bad. So this is a very difficult card to play both with and against. So that's kind of the position that we're trying to put our opponent in. We also have a few extra removal spells to deal with Mono Green. And we also have 4 copies of Smoldering Egg, which is a great card to deal with Mono Green because you play it on turn 2, it blocks their stuff. And then as you cast your removal spells that you've boarded in, all of a sudden you're making your 4 mana dragon that pings things whenever you cast spells. So deck is pretty good, pretty well tuned, I think, to a 2-deck meta of Izzet and Mono Green. But who knows what we're going to see on the arena ladder. Let's give it a go. SSTV. All right. On the play, we do have 2 lands. We have Iteration on 2 to get our 3rd. 3 copies of Alrund's Epiphany. Not really where we want to be But it's really hard to mulligan a castable expressive iteration, especially on the play. We're gonna give this a go. Could get run over. A lot of our cards don't do anything yet. If we're up against mono green, maybe we're still okay because we're on the play. It does look like that's probably the case. Some of the actually, maybe not. This could be like one of those Bant ramp decks that's been around. Foretell the Epiphany. Yeah, okay, so it is a ramp deck of some kind. Let's see what they do. Probably 2-mana ramp spell, I would think. If this is the Bant landfall deck, then they have many. I'm pretty happy to see that. I think we're just iterationing here. Foretelling Epiphany is not really a great turn for us. Yeah, so we'll put Negate to hand, put Cinderclasm back, it's probably dead, and exile the Snarl, play it, and we will not reveal that we have another land. Okay, so they either drew that off the top or chose not to play it last turn. Either way, I think we're happy. And we can either foretell Epiphany, hold up Negate, which is, an option, or we can hold up Deluge. Next turn, if they play Ren and we have to counter it, we're pretty sad missing our 2 mana by not foretelling Epiphany here. So I think we are going to foretell Epiphany and hold off on casting the Deluge. And obviously, if they cast Ren, then we'll just disrupt it. Yeah. Chariot is going to have to get negated, unfortunately. That plays around the disruption fairly well. But that is why we didn't hold up Deluge. And so here we are. We're at the point where we could possibly just be jamming Epiphanies for the rest of the game. Opponent plays Ren. We don't have a great way to counter it. That said, foretelling another Epiphany doesn't really accomplish anything. Okay, we'll say go. There's an option to cast a Memory Deluge on our turn to play around counter magic from them. If they play Epiphany here, then we do get to disrupt it. That would be a ballsy play from the opponent if they cast the Epiphany here. And they're looking. They're thinking about it. You can do it. I believe in you. They cast Ren at 7 instead. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. We can force them to crack the treasure by disrupting it. But I think instead Deluge is just better. Okay. And we will get to attack down Ren, probably. Alright, let's see what we see. Oh, Burning Hands also deals with Ren pretty well. Galvanic Iteration is like exactly what we're hoping for. All 4 of these cards are sweet, actually. So next turn... This is tough. Okay, so next turn we can cast Epiphany, get 2 birds in play. We can use the Fading Hope the following turn to bounce the 5/5, attack down the Ren and 7. If we draw... No matter what. Okay. So we definitely want, I think, Fading Hope. But I think I want Galvanic Iteration as well to be able to start copying these Epiphanies. So we will cast this Epiphany now because I don't want them to untap with Ren. I'm not sure what we'll do with the second Epiphany yet. So we're definitely doing this. Bounce the 5/5. Another Galvanic Iteration. Next turn we'll have how much mana? 6, 7. We won't be able to Iteration plus Epiphany next turn, no matter what. If we're going to cast Epiphany this turn, but maybe we don't need to. Nah, we can bottom this, I think, right? Yeah, it has flashback. They probably don't run that many counters in the main. Let's attack down Ren. Now, are we playing another Epiphany this turn? Like, we can. We get to attack them for 4, which is, like, not awful. But I think I'd rather hold off until I can get the Galvanic Iteration back up. Okay. So we'll put the Deluge to hand. I think we're putting the Snarl back. And we're going to exile the Burning Hands and kill this Innkeeper. It's not exciting, but... And... if they play Land Epiphany, we won't be able to disrupt it. Oh, we will be able to disrupt it, right? No, not if they play Land Epiphany from exile. But I think that's still kind of okay. Like, they're not accomplishing anything if they do that. They could play another Wrenn, but even that's not so bad. That's, like, annoying, but not terrible. I think I want to tap them out. They can obviously pay to counter this, but I think that's fine. Okay. So 7 mana. If we find untapped land off of Iteration, then we just kind of get to go off here. I think I'm happy to do that. We don't find it. It's a bit tilting. Not gonna lie. Okay. Well, I guess I'm taking Burn Down the House, putting back the Prismari command, and exiling the Disruption. Hey, okay. Thanks for the raid. How did your stream go earlier? Yeah, I hate this, but we're gonna do it. Like, letting them untap with Imrith just seems like malpractice. Like, we have so much card advantage that all we have to do is, like, not die here. Sure. Okay. Cool. So Martin did write a sideboard guide for this, although I think the sideboarding is fairly straightforward. Actually didn't write a sideboard guide for this in particular, but... I think we want the Disdainful Strokes. Those seem good. We didn't really see any targets for Cinderclasm. So I think I'm fine cutting that. What else? Burning Hands is, like, fine. It deals with Seeka's Chariot. It deals with Wrenn. Smoldering Egg doesn't really seem all that inspiring. Like, I'm not sure it'll ever get in. Test of Talents is, like, fine. Hermit seems fine. Okay, I think we cut the Burn Down the House. I think we do want Fading Hope. I think Cathartic Pyre is weak. So maybe here we bring in Test of Talents because we want the counter spells. I think Prismari Command is, like, pretty poor. Even against the Chariot. Like, in Game 2, I think Prismari Command just gets much worse. It's fine in Game 1 because you don't know what you're up against, and it's, like, okay against Mono Green too, but in this matchup, I think it's supposed to come out. And I think I'm going to bring in all 4 Hermits. I think this is what we're doing. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, okay? It's been a while since I've seen you. What's new with you? Okay. We don't really accomplish much, but we'll try. Whoa, Shipwreck Marsh. Did we see black? Okay, so they're actually Sultai, and we didn't see black. Okay, that probably changes things, at least a little. All right. I guess we're going to play the Hall out. Just got tied for 3rd in a tournament. What was the tournament, man? Congratulations. That's awesome. What did you play? Check for traps is annoying. What do you take? Probably Iteration? Historic Brawl Tournament. They take the Hermit. Taking the Hermit seems wild. Alright. Badrick. Oh, I opened a few of him, but I don't remember what he does. I remember looking at him and seeing, oh, totally unplayable. And I just never looked at him again. Yeah, Recoil Creeper plays around the Dwyer Disruption pretty effectively. Are we scared of anything on 5 out of them? Of course we are. They have Ren. Alright. Guess we're playing this tap and saying go. But, like, they know the stroke is here, so they can play around it pretty effectively. Okay, that's probably a Foretold Epiphany. It's hard to imagine what else that could be. Yeah, okay. Okay. So they seemed really concerned about this Hermit. They took it pretty early on. But I think, like, with all the counter magic we have in our hand, what we really need is a way to use that mana on their turn if they don't play into it. So I'm going to take the Deluge, put back the Hermit, right? Yeah. And then exile the Snarl. And yes, we will reveal that. And then next turn we'll have 4 mana available to be able to cast the Deluge if they don't do anything. Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome. What was there a prize for third? That's an Epiphany. That is an Epiphany. Okay. So play this tapped. Hopefully Memory Deluge them end of turn. If they get greedy and counter that, then... well, nothing really. Bragging rights? Okay, well, those are important. Yeah, this probably... like, we could be casting this in, like, a Test of Talents, which would be painful. That's fine. We're also just slowly dying to these dorks, which is annoying. Should have tapped the red. Went for telling the Epiphany there. This is just pathetic. Okay. Well, if that last card is a counterspell, then casting the Epiphany here is certain death. But if it's a counterspell, I don't think we ever beat it. Right? Because all of our counter magic is Disdainful Strokes, so they're not particularly good at winning counter fights that we start. So I think we're just going for it. If you counter me, you win. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those were the exact... like, those 2 cards, no configuration was going to beat that. So that's okay. Now we know we're up against Sultai Ramp. Does that change how we board at all? I'm trying to decide if it makes our Smoldering Egg better or worse. Like, on the one hand, it does block a lot of their, like, mana creatures and prevents them from getting the pressure that did eventually kill us this game. Cinderclasm is probably a little better than I'm giving it credit for against all these crappy creatures, too. So maybe... maybe instead of 4 Burning Hands, let us bring in 2 Cinderclasm. Call it a day. I still want some number of Burning Hands to be able to deal with Ren. They might not even play Ren realistically. Like, I mean, I'm sure they play Ren, like it's in their deck, but they might not play it into open mana, knowing it'll get countered. And they also saw Burn Down the House. Actually, maybe. Hmm. Egg serves as a shock later on. Yeah, but the thing about Egg against Sultai in particular is that, like, I have no. I'm sure they'll be able to remove it. Especially when they saw him Malevolent Hermit, so, like, their kill spells are kind of a counter spell when you take that into account. I'm not sure. Maybe some number of Burn Down the House is right. But I think I like this. Yeah, I don't think I like the Egg here. Like, if we play it and they kill it, it's just so bad. Like, we took it out against them when we thought they were Simic. And then they showed us black. I think it'd be kind of crazy to put it back in after that. It's a hand of magic cards. I don't like mulliganing on the play. We'll keep, but this could go badly. I'm going to hold this Spikefield Hazard for now. And I'm guessing, like, Swamp check for traps. If they play, like, a ramp creature that dies to Hazard, we're pretty happy. Excuse me. Okay. Yep. So what's the take? Okay. Still think we want to hold the Hazard. Like, we're not missing our land drops anytime soon. And if they play a ramp creature, then we want to be able to kill it. Yeah. Not thrilled about killing that one. I think I'm fine just letting that live. Okay. Let's send this back, I think. Am I interested in Jwari Disruption? Against the ramp deck? Probably not, right? Like, they'll be able to pay that pretty easily. Sure. So this probably takes Stroke. Let me play the Creeper. Okay. And now I think we're in pretty big danger. Because they've set the stage pretty effectively for either casting Ren or Chariot next turn. And we don't have great recourse unless we draw a counterspell right here. And we don't. If they do cast one of those two things, we will at least get to resolve our Time Walk, but it doesn't really accomplish much. Okay. So now land chariot, or just chariot? Yeah. Now I think we kill this innkeeper. At this point, we're far enough behind that I think we kind of need to cheese them out. But we will get to resolve the time walk, if nothing else. Burning Hands is decent against the chariot. Another hazard, okay. Seiko. I am concerned about chariot animating and then them having a counterspell. I think we essentially lose if that happens. Although I did bring in a couple Cinderclasms, so those would be decent outs. Yeah, okay. If that hits a counterspell, I think we also lose. It didn't take them long to make that choice either. Okay. It's like negates, and I think we can pretty much just safely scoop. This resolves, and we keep playing Magic. Okay. They're attacking with the Recoil Creeper, which is nice. I'm trying to decide if this hazard is more useful as a land, or if there's some value in killing the Innkeeper if we're trying to race them. And I think the answer is it's worth more as a land. And if that's the case, I probably should have played it as one last turn in case we rip Epiphany here. Instead, we find Iteration. Okay. Find Test of Talents. That's not bad. Also find Disdainful Stroke. Test of Talents misses Ren and Chariot. Does hit the Epiphany that they don't seem to have. So I guess we're taking Stroke. Putting back Talents and exiling the Hermit. Playing the Hermit. It should have attacked first, I suppose, because it forces action here. Wow. That's a heads-up play. This resolves and we're going to pay. Because I don't think there's anything they can resolve that we can't pay to counter with this Hermit. Maybe I should have held the 1/1s back too, actually. Okay, take 5. Yeah, now the 1/1s probably have to stay home. Right. Definitely playing this. And yeah, I think the 1/1s have to stay home and we need to rip something big. We're not winning this race anymore. Okay, that was a land that they hit. That's fine. Okay, and they foretell Epiphany. So now they're threatening to hit for 7. We can double block and kill the 2/2, the creeper, and take 5. And it'll be a lethal threat next turn. We kill the 1/1 block, take 4. still a lethal threat next turn if we do that. Okay, so I guess we do this. And land. Okay. Well, we have to hold this back or we're just dead on board. This Epiphany will probably get cast. We'll have to counter it. We'll have to chump with the Geist. So they should attack first, force the block, and then go from there. But I think we are in serious trouble. Now land Epiphany. That's almost worse. And another land. All right. Yeah, that was a tough one for sure. Not sure how I feel about that one. Brain's kind of fried. It's been a long night, but I'll go back and look at that one later. See what I did wrong. In the meantime, 0-1. On the play. Sweet. Yeah, we'll keep this. And hopefully we're up against mono green. Hand sweet against mono green. And I'm going to play the Spike Field thing tapped on turn 1. With this kind of hand, we just want to hit our land drops. Turn 1, Field of Ruin. All right. You would think it's got to be a control deck of some kind. Maybe not. Maybe. Okay. I have no idea anymore. So it's probably... Wow. It's probably some sort of Simic Plus deck. Missing blue. Which means our blue mana is going to be more important. Put red to hand. Exile the blue. Oops. Well, I meant to exile the blue mana there. To be able to play it this turn and have 2 blue mana in play next turn. But like I said, it's been that kind of day. And I think now that I've made that mistake, probably just have to play this tapped. Hold up the gate. Now all of a sudden, now that... Okay. So they probably did that to fix their mana. They cast Chariot. If they cast Chariot, do we let it resolve? Because, like, suppose negate, then next turn they Ren minus. Burning Hands on the Ren. They have a Tree Folk token that's attacking us for 6. It'll be too big for Burn Down the House to deal with. It resolves. Epiphany's not bad. Yep, okay. So, I probably shouldn't have foretold that, actually, because I want to be able to negate Ren and still have Burning Hands for the Chariot. But they're incentivized to play Ren first, I guess. And this is actually kind of okay, right? Because they animate Chariot. If we kill it and then they Ren minus, the Ren token will be a 5/5. Ren will be at 2. We'll be able to burn down the house, killing everything. Then they can play... Oh, that saw it coming. It wasn't Elrond's Epiphany. Wow, you don't see that one very often. Well, then we could be in trouble. If they have a handful of counterspells to kill our burn down the house, then this could be bad. We will at least play around Jwari Disruption. We can Epiphany, but then that's just putting our birds into the path of our board wipe, which I think we have to cast. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We had to get that one out of them somehow. And now we're taking... Okay. So now they minus here. They attack with the chariot. We're taking 10. And now the 6/6 is too big to die to burn down the house. So we need like untapped land, galvanic iteration into burn down the house. Just to stay alive. Oh, that works. That doesn't work. Damn. Yeah. So we can cast Epiphany here, which I think is kind of forced. Yeah. Need another pull with the untapped land, I think. And then we need nothing to be able to animate the chariot. Does that do it? No, still not enough land to make that happen. If we attack with a 1/1 with the 1/1s that Ren the 6/6 blocks, then at least one of the 6/6s will die to burn down the house, and then we'll have Fading Hope for the remaining one. Okay. They shouldn't block. But maybe they will. Yeah. And no way to draw cards and still get out of this. So we'll scoop that one up. So this looks like it might just be plain old Simic ramp. Like if you're playing Saw It Coming, then you would expect it to just be you would expect a lot of commitment to blue. So still think I like the Hermits. Test of Talent seems especially good. Stroke, of course. And it's just Chariot and Ren, right? Like most of the format is just those cards. So Pyre seems pretty awful. Cinderclasm doesn't seem great. I think I'd rather have Burned Down the House than Cinderclasm in this matchup. 4 more cuts. Prismari Command is like probably... I don't love it. But maybe it's better than the Fading Hope. Like we need some answer to the Ren tokens though, if they get cast late in the game, and they're like the only things we have that can safely answer that. So probably like cut to Burn Down the Houses, and I guess the Prismari commands realistically. Yeah. Okay. Hand is nothing special. But I don't want to mulligan it on the play, so... I do want to keep the Jwari Disruption for now. We can always play it tapped on turn 3 the way our hand is shaken out if that's what we decide we want to do. Probably just untap land here for Tell. Just most likely Saw It Coming. Yeah, that was weird, but okay. We've drawn a ton of land, actually. Now I think we kind of want to keep the Droid Disruption. Having the Burning Hands in our opening hand is kind of crappy, too. Malevolent Hermit with 1 mana open to play around the Disruption is kind of annoying, but at least we have the Burning Hands to kill it, which I think we have to do. Because otherwise it's just too effective at defending their bigger threats next turn. Yeah, we'll just get this tap land out of the way. I don't think we're going to need double counterspell this turn, but in the future we probably will. That's really frustrating. Yeah. Yep. The problem is now, like, burn down the house, which is our answer to this kind of board state. They can counter pretty effectively with the Malevolent Hermit. But the Droid Disruption just kind of rots if we don't cast it. Because of the Geist. So I think we have to do this. And then if they counter back, then at least we get to test of talents their counterspell. Like if this saw it coming. But we can't let this resolve without a fight. When our hand is like all counter magic. Yep. Yeah. And this is just never ever going to resolve as long as that Hermit's in place. We need another kill spell for this Hermit. Yikes. We can at least Galvanic Iteration, doubling the burn down the house, and they can only counter one of them. One of these you would think has got to be an Epiphany. And I'm not sure if that's the best or worst case, because if those are Saw It Comings, I don't think we can ever realistically win this game. Brutal. We gotta try. Now we don't even have the land to be able to double burn down the house. This is awful. Okay. Okay. Like, if these are Saw It Coming, then we just lose, right? I guess, like, one super heads-up play would just be to play the land here and animate the hall. So if we think those are Saw It Comings, then the right play is probably to do that. If we think they're Epiphanies, then... Well, if they're Epiphanies, we lose. So we have to assume they're not Epiphanies. If they're Saw It Coming, can we beat Saw It Coming? The other problem is that... Well, Burn Down the House is at least guaranteed to kill Malevolent Hermit if they use it, right? So it does slow down the clock. If they Saw It Coming, then we burn a counterspell and we burn the Hermit, and then we're only all of a sudden taking 3 a turn. That's probably what we have to do. And then we need to draw, like, Burning Hands to deal with the Geist. Okay, it is Saw It Coming. How does this card work? So we would still get to exile the rest of the Saw It Comings, even if it doesn't actually counter the spell. But... just need to play our hand out. Oh my god. Stop it. Stop it. This is embarrassing. Like, it's like the second game, the second match where we've just been beaten down by crappy ramp creatures and haven't been able to do a thing about it. Yeah, okay. I guess we're animating the hall. Yeah. Kill that at least. I hope to top deck another Burning Hands. And somehow get it through the Saw It Coming, which is uncounterable because of the Geist. I guess it's possible that we draw... Oh, they didn't even replay this. Yeah, we're just dead. Tough game. Not sure what, if anything, I could have done differently there. But okay. 0-2 with Izzet turns. Doesn't feel great. Alright. Last game of the night. Let's redeem ourselves. These burn down the houses just feel really bad. I feel like they're just so medium wherever you go. Hopefully we find mono green. Although I think mono green's matchup against us is pretty good. Instead, we're up against Rakdos. Turn 1 duress. You got it. Taking the Chwari Disruption probably makes sense. Try to keep us off our lands. Sure. Oh, it's Grixis. Okay. It's Grixis missing land drops. Okay. It's Grixis continuing to miss land drops. I think we just loot away these terrible burn down the houses, right? Do we? So these are like clearly epiphanies, because otherwise there would have been stick on the Prismari command. So like it's possible one of these will resolve. In fact, we can even resolve it this turn with the treasure. So let's actually do that. And they're stuck on land, so Dry Disruption is probably good. Okay, well, drawing this one is kind of a tilt. But I'm just going for it, am I? Am I going for it now? Puts pressure on the board. If they can't answer them immediately, then we have the counter magic and the memory deluge up for the rest of the game. Yeah, let's do it. They showed us they didn't have any use for this 2 mana for our counter spells anyway. Let's see what we can do. Sweet. Could have cast the second one, but now we just have counter magic up the rest of the game. They found their land, but that's going to be too little too late, I think. This could be Test of Talents. Stroke, sure. I think that I want to hold the Dry Disruption, even though playing it would allow us to have the 7 mana for the Deluge next turn. I think there's some reasonable chance that we'll get to use it for value. Yeah, I like that. It's our 7th land, so we can either hold up Deluge, but I think we're just holding up the gate here. And now if they have, like, Meat Hook Massacre, they still... Do they die? Depends what order the triggers go on the stack, right? I think they die, because I think our triggers go first. Okay. So, Grixis stuff. Did we see anything? We saw Go Blank. MTG Nerd Mom, hey! How are you doing? I think it's the first time I've seen you in here. Welcome to the stream. How are things going down there? Show some love to MTG Nerd Mom, everyone. Right, Grixis stuff. So Test of Talents seems pretty good. Hermit seems pretty good. But they didn't see any creatures out of us. I think I'm more inclined to bring in the egg against them. Samurai Command seems pretty awful. Oh, and Mets. Hey, Mets. I didn't know you were here. Burning Hand's pretty bad against the non-Asika's Chariot Ren decks. Cathartic Pyre also seems bad. So does Cinderclasm. Want the Strokes. Is there anything I don't like? I think 4 Burn Down the House is too many. I think I can cool it there. I think I'm going to cut 2 Burn Down the House and bring in 2 Smoldering Eggs. How do we feel about this? I think I like this. You didn't know you were here? Okay, well, I don't know what that says. I don't know what that says about the quality of the stream, but I'm glad you know now. Thank you for the follow, MTG Nerd Mom. All right. So we have our Smoldering Egg on 2. We'll keep this. If they kept removal in, then we're sad. But we have to try. Duress. What do you take with Duress here? Can't take the egg. So they took 1 Deluge, which I feel like can't be right. I think you're probably supposed to take the Disruption there. But, well, maybe. So if they kept their, Doomblades in, then we're sad here. Maybe they did, but they just don't have it. And now we have Jari Disruption to be able to deal with some manner of their removal. Can also just cast this to try to get a counter on the egg. We really want the double blue to be able to cast Memory Deluge next turn. I think we're just playing the Disruption tapped. I could be talked into casting the Hazarded Face next turn to get a counter on the egg. Okay. They're also, they also saw it. They're going to play around it for the rest of the game. So it's kind of rotting in hand at that point. But they've cast 2 Expressive Iterations in the Control Mirror. So, advantage them, I think. And I think I am just going to go upstairs. Although I'm sure this Smoldering Egg is going to die. I really don't want to cast Memory Deluge into Test of Talents. That would be pretty sad. Although, I mean, Spikefield has it resolved really quickly, so I don't think they actually have Test of Talents. Maybe I'm supposed to cast that on my turn knowing that. So this is like a very Grixis deck. This isn't like splashing red. This is like very, very red. See if they found it. Okay, just Stroke. Stroke isn't the worst. Pitch these. And then we can cast Deluge. Flip the egg. These are pretty good. So I think against the very like discard heavy deck, if they have another go blank, it doesn't really matter what we take. But against like duresses, then Memory Deluge is probably a better take, and as is land. So I'm gonna take this, and I think I'm gonna take the Hall. That's something that's hopefully difficult for them to deal with. And now they need to deal with the board, and we're ready to refuel. If they have like Tybalt, then that's gonna hurt. He took Massacre for 4. Okay. And now we get to Deluge plus play the Hermit if that's what we decide we want. I think I'm down to cast the Memory Deluge now when they don't have a counterspell available. Stanful Stroke is quite good. We'll take that. And I think we just want to hit our land drops to be able to cast the Delugers from the graveyard. Seems pretty good to me. Maybe I'm supposed to take the island in case I draw a Snarl. I probably am. I'm going to play this on blue. And I don't think I'm going to play the Hermit, because if they do have, like, Tybalt, then I really want to be able to counter it. Okay. So they had the Test of Talents. I'm really glad that they cast that on our Disdainful Stroke instead of our Memory Deluge, actually. Please don't let me lose to Grixis. It's been a long day. I don't deserve to lose to Grixis. Hands totally face up. Wow. What does that mean? What does that mean? I think that resolves. Because next turn we can play the pathway, power up the Hall, attack with both, and still have the Hermit available. Or negate. That's pretty good too. But we're just attacking with the Hall. Get in. The Hall itself is a lethal threat next turn. And if they play Tybalt, we can kill the Hermit before they can minus on it to take it. Yeah, sure. You got it. Like, they've got to find some way to deal with the Hall and its ward cost and the counter ability, like the counter ability of the Hermit. So it's not impossible, but it's got to be a pretty special sequence of cards. Like, now they're down to 5, right? So they need, like, at this point they need like Doomblade and the 3 mana just to pay for the ward. So I guess like there's a world where they can kill one of our creatures and get themselves up to 8 so the Hall isn't lethal anymore. And I guess that happens anyway if we... Yeah. So they'll go up to 8. Even if we sacrifice it here, they'll go up to 8. Okay. Yeah, I guess this doesn't matter. We're gonna go upstairs for 8. Or for 7. Okay, good luck us. Soul Shatter? Okay. Down to 1. Spike Field Hazard is lethal if we have another one. Just explode. Just do it. Just explode. So they're representing a kill spell here, right? Okay. Like Epiphany, they can negate it. This needs a very specific answer, which they have. They should have let us attack first. I'm back to being a bad person. I never left. I've been a bad person this whole time. I see. Their Galvanic Iteration Epiphany too. Okay. What? What? I am confused. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me. This is a 2/2 flyer that prevents our stuff from getting countered. They have another removal spell, then we're very sad. This probably is not an Epiphany, right? It's probably saw it coming, or they would have played it with the Galvanic Iteration. But their play already made no sense. They played Galvanic Iteration and didn't copy anything. I don't understand. They've shown us they kept some amount of kill spells left in the deck. We've only seen one. What's more likely, kill spell or counter spell? It's gotta be counter spell, right? It's possible they have both. I'm not sure we're beating both. Yeah. Oh, wait, what? No. Okay, okay. I missed that. But, I guess that works. I'll take it. You know what? If I had lost to Grixis, I would have been incredibly sad. All right. So that is going to be it for me. Let's see who we can raid tonight. I think the only degen playing right now is one of my personal Magic heroes, Ali Eldrazi. Let's go over there and show him